Mrs. Rajeshri Rai, MD Editor-in-Chief, APN News, experts from the industry, officials from various governments, captains of the industry, my friends who have been organizing the Swadesh Tourism Conclave, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's every opportunity is always a good opportunity, and I'm quite happy to be here today amongst all of you to share a few of our thoughts in this tourism conclave. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate APN News and Balaji Foundation for having organized this type of conclaves, which go a long way, because normally when the question answer sessions were on with Sripad Naik ji, what we always try to understand, I come from the industry also. So being into business and the industry and being a part of the government makes things much easier to understand. And that's exactly when I was trying to understand the questions. It's the chicken and the egg story. I always say the chicken and the egg story. The industry keeps expecting from the government, expecting that the government knows everything. And I strongly believe, being a part of the government, that we are more of facilitators. The industry needs to start moving in a manner to get their things going. And that's how we have to evolve if we are talking about getting our things on the right track. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is always he's got 3 T's very close to his heart: technology, trade and tourism. And fortunately, I have been entrusted the portfolios of tourism and IT in the state of Goa. So when Rajeshri ji was asking about who has not gone to Goa, I was actually trying to put my head out and try to see how many of you guys have not been there. But most of you on your left and right, if you start moving your heads, most of you people have been there, and there's good news for me as I take my topic of brand Goa ahead. When we say Goa, we always start thinking the first thing which comes in your mind, I'm pretty sure, is the sun, sand and sea. आप दरिया देखते हैं, you see everything around the sea, and that's how you channelize your energies. I would like to put it across, like when we were talking about our friend Mr. Jyoti Kalash ji was talking about Nagaland. I think we have also had these challenges in the 60s. 1947 was the independence of the country, and 1961 was independence of Goa. So we have got our independence or liberation 14 years later. 61 se leke the hippie culture was there, and the hippie culture just evolved. Like today we call that as homestays, or we call various words. That terminology at that time did not exist, so they were just around hippies finding their own ways and means, trying to stay in somebody's houses. That's how it went. In the 70s, the government started slowly getting through a corporation their own properties being developed. Slowly that culture came in. 80s, the hotels, small hotels started coming in. Actual movement of Goa started in the 90s, where you had bigger hotel chains come up, set up. The 5-star, 4-star, 3-star category started getting identified, and there's a whole circuit which started saying brand Goa is coming in. And that's from 1990, 2000 onwards, we have been seeing a change, and these changes are something which the tourism trade needs to keep looking at. I don't know, when we start talking about tourism, every state has its own potential to look at. The Prime Minister is very clear that trade, technology and tourism needs to be looked at. Every state has today started looking at potential of tourism in a different manner, which is unlike earlier. Earlier we were more dependent on mining, and mining is to contribute to almost about 17% to the GDP. Tourism today, I think, contributes to about 16.43% to the GDP. So when we talk about our economic and the economic drivers, it is very important to understand where we stand. Mining, we had a ban in 2012, and last 10 years we have realized that the whole one economic vertical dropping down, how much problems it can cause to the economics of any state. And that's how we started re-looking at the whole tourism vertical, because we need to start looking differently. Goa is a small state. We have a 15 lakh population. We have a overall tourism flow. 2019 numbers say that we had about 8 million tourists. 8 million tourists may say you can talk about roughly about 71 lakh tourists being domestic, inbound, and roughly about 9 lakh 13,000 tourists being coming from various international destinations to the state. We are more dependent on Russia and UK. And as we talk about the challenges every state has, we also have our own challenges. Today, although we have the numbers, we start looking at what is the per capita spend. Are we on the right direction to get our narrative right or no is something which we look at. As a government, we need to understand whether our economics are right. And for us, the main focus areas become one is the revenue for the state and one is the employment to the state. Both these drivers become politically very important for us as we drive the system of tourism ahead. So when we start talking about sun, sand and sea and start moving things ahead, there came COVID. COVID things started changing. And that was a time whether we needed to take advantage of adversity as an opportunity or how we needed to look at, because that was a time I couldn't trust you couldn't trust me, we couldn't sit like this without a mask. There were those days when I would call you at home and be happy about it. And during COVID days, आप घर पे आ गए तो सोचते थे अंदर लेना है कि बाहर से ही buy करना है. The whole process started transiting. In this time, we started talking about companies, corporates started talking about work from home culture. We said work from Goa. We bought in one opportunity and we said let's work from Goa. Quality of life tha, culture is different, and we have a lot of things to speak about. So the work from Goa culture started in 2020-21 after the first phase of the most aggressive virus that came in, maybe the Omicron after that. Work from Goa culture started telling us that we are slowly transiting in a different phase. We have started seeing that post-COVID, the thought process of a tourist has started changing. Our friend Mr. Srikumar was talking about how branding and how we need to look at changes happening. And that's exactly what we realized when we had a lot of our friends from different states come together, maybe after a long time, and share their thoughts for a All India Tourism Conference which happened in Dharamshala a month back. It gave us the insight on how beautiful Tripura is, how best Arunachal Pradesh is, how best Manipur is, how best Nagaland is, and what are the way each one is coming with it. Because when it comes to tourism, we look at Kerala, we look at Goa, we look at few states which have been talking about tourism potential. And now, when we are talking about this part of moving in different states of the country, it is a very watchful eye that every state starts to look at or needs to look at is the thought of a tourist. The thought of a tourist in terms of a traveler has changed. His requirement, his needs, the way he wants to travel, the way he wants to experience things has changed. And I strongly believe that we are slowly shifting into sort of an immersive and experiential travel that was not there. We are looking at serenity, we are looking at tranquility, we are looking at so many things we never thought about coming there. So when we click the button Goa, it's going to be nightlife, it's going to be sun, sand and sea, it's going to be everything and nothing more than that is a normal tourist thought. We have realized that we needed to change. And that's how the journey has begun in terms of slightly shifting our part from thinking about sun, sand and sea. So now in terms of what Rajeshri ji said, being an IT minister, we said let's drive it differently. We cannot compete with Hyderabad, we cannot compete with Bangalore, we cannot compete with the tax states which are there in other parts. But being a part of a same country which takes together a cooperative, collaborative, competitive form of federalism, so let's pitch ourselves in a different mart where we can talk about Industry 4.0, but at the niche segment. We are today looking at making Goa, brand Goa, the creative capital of the country. So how do we take it differently? So we need to look at Industry 4.0 in the creative space. We're talking about AR, VR, we're talking about blockchain, we're talking about so many things that can come in where we give an immersive experience and we start talking about technology per se in terms of the state. Now Hatke idea was required because now everybody talks about giving you the spaces. So today we are thinking about sun, sand, sea and software. So we say we are going to get infrastructure by December, that we are coming on the beach. We will create a concept on the beach which will be sort of co-working spaces where a guy who would come down in form of a digital nomad, in terms of a person who would like to be taking work from Goa, culture from one of the incentives given by his companies, gets an infrastructure in Goa where he is on the beach. Now imagine yourself out of these clothes, come into the Goa flavor, wear your shorts, wear your t-shirts, come there, start working on your co-working areas or your space which you come in, and you suddenly want to go and do some surfing around, you want to do some water sports, you want to chill out with some drinks, again you want to come and work, the whole experience changes. And I think digital nomads is the new concept which tech tourism is building upon. We have realized that this space in the country is some vacuum which nobody is looking at exponentially. Roughly, estimate of a digital nomad is a 70 lakh spend. Annual salary of a digital nomad is roughly about 70 lakhs per annum. So if you start categorizing this type of a person whose 70 lakh per annum salary allows him to give 35% back to that particular place he is staying in, and the stay time period is minimum 3 months, 6 months, 9 months of a person who comes for digital to come for a creative space, experience it. I think this is what we are looking for. This is where we are saying let's create this space for digital nomads. We are working with the Union Minister for State, Union Minister for Tourism, Sri Reddy ji, Sripad Bauji, for getting these digital nomad visas done. These are new visas which have been coming in tune with the thought processes of change. And this is exactly where we would like to pitch the state of Goa in this particular space, where digital nomads, this concept is built upon almost about 46 countries in the world already. Malaysia, Thailand, so many countries are already far forward thinking. Spain has just picked up, and I think Goa can be there. Now come out of the sun, sand and sea and software. Coming back to the tourism, today we are moving out from the sun, sand and sea, and we are trying to build up an ecosystem in the hinterlands. We have a lovely space in the hinterland. We have lovely waterfalls. Dudhsagar waterfall, I don't know how many of you guys have been there, but that stands tall at 310 meters, the third largest in the country. Very beautiful throughout the year. We have a number of tourists coming for that. We have never defined circuits. We have never defined these individual silos. So hinterland is going to play, ecotourism is going to play quite a place for us, for tourists to come and look at it. We are having people like Postcard already come up and sign up in terms of getting their thoughts right. You have a lot of new brands coming and looking for this space, because ecotourism is some area where we would love the villages to economically backward villages to come out with it. At the same time, today the tourist wants to look at your culture, your heritage. And we come from the line of Indo-Portuguese culture. We come here today, and when we are putting and expressing ourselves, we have every vertical that a tourist would look for. Only we need to map it, geotag it, and tell them that this is there, and we can do it for you. If you get into hinterland, we have something for you. You come into the monsoons, that is the best time for Goa. Nobody looks at monsoon. पहले तो बोलते थे monsoon तो off season है. हम बोलते हैं monsoon तो पूरा season है. Because the type of experience you get in a monsoon is just amazing. That's exactly how you get into the whole areas where it is. We have roughly about 400 birds which have found their homes in the state of Goa. We have a huge numbers of tourists who come every year, who are basically serious into bird watching and bird loving category. We are getting into wellness in a bigger manner, keeping in mind that we are doing ecotourism, then we need to add wellness. We are having a lineup with chains like Anantara and all these guys who have already started coming and signing along with us. We are big time looking into adventure. Goa has always been into adventure. We have bungee jumping, we have paraglidings, we have so many water sports. We are getting into skydiving, we are getting into seaplane, we are getting into amphibian, we are getting in hop-on buses, we are getting into the various new concepts, including the ropeway coming very soon, as far as the state is concerned, which will start giving new tourism experiences and services to the people. What happens is when we start promoting a destination, the tourist comes with money, and we have realized that 30-40% of the money which they would want to spend, they don't spend it because they don't get new opportunities. Casino मिला तो डाल दिया, नहीं डाल दिया तो वापस गए. So we would like them to come and utilize maximum of the state in terms of these services, and that is why we say that adventure becomes quite an important aspect as far as Goa is concerned. Medical becomes I wouldn't combine medical and wellness, I would keep them as two different parts. Wellness we would also put it across, where we are talking about yoga, we are talking about so many other things which would be related to this. Very importantly, the state has a very strong base from the old Goa church to the temples in a taluka called as Ponda, which is in one circuit. We have an old Shiva temple in a place called as Tambrisulla. We are trying to get this spiritual tourism in the right sense. We are not wanting to be Chennai. But at the same time, we would like to have a pitch deck for ourselves where we say that for spiritual tourism, there's a huge potential which people have started moving and experimenting. Today, yoga has become a part of life. Sadhguruji's thoughts intellectually catch up with a lot of youth today. The millennials want to think in that manner where things are moving in that direction, what they think can be taken up. I think these are emerging areas of new thoughts of tourism which we want to take ahead. Homestay has been one of the major areas. We have realized that the new airport coming, Goa today has a framework where we have one airport, one port. The roads have changed. We have big infrastructure of 6-lane highways connecting the north to the south. You can actually touch your border of Goa in 60 to 90 minutes. And now we have the new Mopa airport coming in. The new Mopa airport is going to be the game changer for the whole state because this is going to connect tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which otherwise in the past we had connectivity issues. If I had to go to, imagine if Goa has to connect to Varanasi, I have to jump 3 flights. Now I'm going to do it directly. If I have to touch Coimbatore, I have to get down in Chennai or I have to get down in Bangalore and do some connecting and then reach Coimbatore. But I'm going to do it direct. Now, when you have small cities and connectivity happening, you have so much of rural population or people from the tier 2 and tier 3 cities who want to travel but do not get an opportunity because of the type of logistics. Like my friend Jyoti Kaleshji said, we also having problems of airfare. The type of airfare challenges are, I think, a universal thing which I think Union Minister for State also has to intervene. But keeping these challenges in mind, we need to move ahead. And where Rajiv Jainji was talking about wedding destination, I think this is a very important aspect of any economics to run. Shadi ke liye, people come with a lot of money. They want to have the best of the things and they don't mind spending. That is the only time the people who come for weddings do not negotiate. The rest every time they come, they will negotiate for the rates. Wedding is one time where they will maybe pay more than what is required, but they want something happening properly. We have realized that last few months or years, we are losing certain market to our neighboring countries, especially Bahrain, Dubai and many other areas where we are finding that the tourists are moving. The question is, it's a very strong interaction required from the council with the government and maybe with the states who are trying to promote it. For us, most of the wedding destinations which are coming out through the hotels, maybe 5-star, 4-star. What does a wedding need? A wedding destination needs a destination, a proper Goa. If I say it's by the sea, someone wants something by the sea, they want rooms around it, they want events to be done up, they want the logistics in place. I think 5 out of that, 4 out of 5 we are already in place. The problem is the ease of doing business, and that's where today we have started putting and getting the ease of business right. Ease of doing business will allow the person who's coming to get a single window permissions, get things out. The bridge where we need here is the person who comes for the event and wants a wedding is normally handled by the event management company. These event management companies have their own licensing officers and they have their own system of working, which has been conventionally there and for which, other than the time they come for permissions, we wouldn't know. Like ambitiously by next year, we are creating about 4 or 5 destinations where all permissions cleared, those destinations will be there. Aap aao, shadi karo. Everything is ready. You just come and get married over there. You ask your event guys to put the place in order. Now imagine when we are doing this, we would never understand the problems of this council unless they actually pitch it and tell us. And every state will have their own challenges. We would love to. Why would someone want to lose out on a place being a wedding destination? By default, every state would want to get the economics right, and by default, it is understood that what the council or the people want, we would like to do. So I would call upon Rajiv Jainji. It was quite an interesting subject that he took up and he was questioning. So I'm answering his question before he questions me again when I sit on there. So it's basically something that we need to look upon because these are areas which have been grey in the past. We have not been able to actually have these focus areas, but things have changed. Goa today has come in the domain of food. As foodies, we are not only looking at the Goan fish curry rice, but the best of the food, what you need from Conti to Indian to Mexican to Argentinian to Greek, you will get it in one place called as Goa. We have streets which are actually getting themselves in that lane where you have niche restaurants coming up. Foodie destination is one more vertical where people have been started moving around. There are things where culture and heritage is concerned. We are today slowly showcasing our heritage and talent heritage and culture in a different form. We are getting our local, like from when I saw the Ghum,
Yes, yes.
Ghum in Darjeeling reminded me about the festivals we have in our state. We have so many festivals. You have something called as Shigmo. You have something called as Carnival. You have something called as Chikkal Kalo. Chikkal Kalo replaces the Tomatino festival. There they do it with the tomatoes. Here we do it with mud. Nobody knows. Then you have Bondara. You have so many festivals in Goa which are quite rich in culture and heritage and tradition. If bought out and actually showcased, I think will be a wonderful opportunity. In fact, I would take this opportunity. Deepotsav is just a week away, or maybe it's on 24th.
Yeah.
So 2 days before that, this year Deepotsav is going to be a little different for Goa. Through your channels, maybe you can have this experiencing this time. We have a thing called as Narkasur. I don't know if you have heard this.
Yes.
You have huge effigies which are made throughout. You will not see it anywhere in the country. दशहरा पे आप एक रावण देखते हो. यहाँ पे गोवा में आपको बिफोर दिवाली द प्रीवियस नाइट वी हैव ह्यूज एफिजीज which are built up. They are at night after the whole thing is completed, early morning उनको जला देते हैं. And उसके बाद उठना and then putting that all this bitter gourd and everything is taken and then our Diwali starts. A little different cultural aspect to it. Coming and experiencing that whole thing itself will be a different thing about what Goa is about. And this is how you normally portray a state which is small enough, which can be a different destination, can give you different options to come across and be there. Because जब गोवा में लोग आते हैं तो first time he comes for sun ascendancy, second time he comes for sun ascendancy, third time he says not sun ascendancy, I want to do something else. And we need to have these offerings in line if we want to get our state right. Because post-COVID learnings need to go a long way. I think as we leave the new normal, responsibilities and challenges of every government has changed. The outlook of a traveler has changed. The expectations of a traveler has changed. And that's exactly where we need to create more infrastructure. With MOPA coming in, we have had our own challenges. We have 4,500 hotels, 4,542 hotels. We have about 82,000 inventory of rooms in different categories, from 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, differently. Today we are having a challenge as we promote homestays that with MOPA coming in, we are going to look at shortage of rooms. Homestays can be a small changer there. But this is where the investors in this domain need to start looking at Goa differently, because as I have expressed myself, in terms of the thoughts that we are trying to take tourism, every aspect has a sort of investment that somebody can look at. We are, as a government, can be a facilitator. We will be here. Either we have government has their own lands, which we are working on PPP modules. We are saying we have this property, we have this land base, come up with a project, let's do it differently. We are coming with fashion tech, we are coming in the fashion area, we are coming in various domains which have not been in the past. We want to come. Imagine when you go to Dubai, if you have gone to Atlantis, एक होटल आपको इतना लेफ्ट से राइट तक जाते, you stay there or you don't stay there, but the experience you get out of water sports is something which you can carry a great memory back. You pay there, you don't negotiate there, but you get quality there. Now this is what we need to bridge and understand how we can do it right. We are not saying Goa has been the best in terms of putting things right, but we can say that we are putting our optimum time and energy to get things right and correct ourselves, to keep in tune with the requirements of calling ourselves the destination what people would look at. We have a relatively low living cost when you compare to Mumbai or when you compare to Bangalore. We have had our own challenges in cities like Bangalore when it started flooding. Goa has a great quality of life. Goa has great people who believe in great hospitality, as we serve you the best, and we believe very strongly in Atiti Devo Bhava. We have a high GSDP as far as Goa is projected, which is roughly about 91,417 crores. So when we start getting our per capita income also right, we are the highest in the country. We have the local populace which is good English speaking people who have fluency in this and who are able to understand and get and give a good experience to the tourists coming in. We have churches, temples, we have so many things that I can keep talking about, from the heritage to other parts which can offer the warm hospitality every tourist would look for. And especially with the whole economy being built up on it, we would not leave any stone unturned to get these things right. We are in the mode of a lot of questions being asked. So we are getting our policies right. We are getting a caravan policy right. We are getting a homestay policy right. We are getting an integrated beach management policy right. We are getting our jetty policy right. We are getting our shack policy right. And we have already started with the ease of doing business, which I have put it across to investors. छोटे में ही लगा दिया है, पूरा बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ because you will have questions to ask, otherwise you won't have anything to ask. Then we have this app coming in which will be allowing you to have an experience of Goa. एक ऐप से right from addressing, redressing your issues to experiencing Goa through excursions, picking up your hotel, everything through that app. Also having a wallet will be there, which will allow you to have sort of like a Singapore pass. We are trying to get a Goa pass. So you have one card which allows you to move around and flash it in Goa, which makes your travel much more better. As I try to complete my 15 minutes, I think I've taken more than that.
So you can take as much as you want,
No,
because we are really interested.
Need to develop Goa. We are looking at some 7 cornerstone principles. One is sustainability. We are looking at also responsible tourism to come in. We are looking at responsible and sustainable tourism. We are looking at authenticity. We are looking at seamlessness. We are looking at our own uniqueness and diversity to portray. We are looking at safety. We are looking at ease of mobility and very important global visibility. So I think covering all these aspects to what I could in the short time, there are many things that need to be done and still a long way ahead. But I'm happy to also tell you that as we take our thought processes ahead, it is not only the government doing it on its own. We have a Goa Tourism Board, which we have formed in the recent last 6 months, which has a constitution of about 50% from the government, 50% from the industry. The industry, which we have experts coming from various domains, from the hospitality, from the hotel trade, from the adventure trade, from wellness. So we have so many people who have made a mark in the world as far as tourism is concerned, being a part of the board. Today they are contributing it back as sons of the soil, and this is allowing us to make all these thought processes which I shared with you in a nutshell better, to give a good experience for the tourists coming in. To meet up with the expectations, we are also coming up with a skill academy. आप बोलोगे कि इतना investment करोगे तो employment कहाँ से? It is always the story about industry needing talent which is not available locally, and politically we need talent which needs to be employed locally with the industries who are coming in. To meet up with that, we are coming with skill academies which will take care of front office, back office, all types of things, including the bakery to production to other things which are required in terms of front office से sales से लेके back office से क्या चाहिए, everything will be done in terms of the skill academy and the supporting systems of the tourism sector. Those people also will be skilled enough. Skilling, reskilling and upskilling will be there. So I think to take brand Goa ahead, I would say that as people talk about God's own country, we are identifying a PR agency because somebody says Goa mein Parshuram Bhumi hai, God stays there. If Kerala is God's own country, God stays in Goa. Somebody says it's an experience 365. So I think we are getting a PR agency onboarded, and I think we will be able to redefine Goa, brand it properly, get the best of the things moving. As far as the aspects of the verticals that I have shared are in your domain now, whatever questions are there, we are here to answer. Look forward for a fruitful relationship for you guys and for us to take the state ahead, because I strongly believe, because if the nation needs to build rightly, the state needs to be built up. And if the states need to build up, then I think it's people from the industry, academia and the government needs to work together. We are in that mode. Expect the same from you. Thank you. Jai Hind.